Thanks for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
Yeah, that's good. Hmm.
I have gone through your profile. I came to know about you, and I thought to introduce you to my audience.
All right.
So, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Right. So, okay. The work-wise, I basically work in the cloud architecture space. So, what I do is, so I work as a consultant. We migrate uh, companies to cloud from their on-prem data centers. Now, there are different flavors of that work. Sometimes we do the data center migration. Sometimes it's a redesign for the cloud. Yeah, and sometimes it's just building the infrastructure because there are many people who are involved in this whole operation. So depending on the engagement, we take different roles. Yeah, so I've been in this cloud space for like around 6, 7 years. Before that, I used to be in the development world. Started development, did programming mostly in Java. Not mostly, all of them in Java, basically. Then into technical architecture space, and then jump to the solution side of the things. So yeah, so overall it's like 23 years or something. So that's yeah, that's in the short like where I am.
So, you're from Mumbai.
Yeah, I'm from Mumbai. Yeah, I came
Okay.
here in
So,
2006. Yeah.
2006. Okay. You're originally from?
Originally from Mumbai, so I was born and brought up in Mumbai. So
Okay.
yeah, my mom was
So,
from different place here. I look South Indian, but yeah, I can't speak
okay.
South Indian.
Okay.
My dad used to be
So,
from Hyderabad.
okay. I'm from Hyderabad.
I know, I saw that. So yeah,
So,
I have some roots there in Hyderabad.
you have some roots, you have connections with Hyderabad.
Yeah, my some relatives are still there.
Okay. So you are into IT for about 20 plus years.
Around 23, 25 years. Yeah,
So you are into development, and what made you to come into the infrastructure side?
it's a natural progression actually. So when you're developing in development of programming, so your focus is on the application. You develop whatever is the business requirement, right? After a while, you keep doing that, then you have to scale that application. Now, depending on what size of applications, how many users. So when you come to that part to scale your application, so there are more things which come in beyond the scope of programming, as in how does that application scale. Then you come into the app servers. In those days, it was app servers. How do we manage the cluster? What is the best way? What are the best tools for the choice? And that keeps growing right now. When you keep doing that, now the scale, since the cloud has gone up, the amount of data ingested by applications, the data processed by applications, everything has gone up. So basically to serve that scale is where you transition. Let's say even if you go into architecture space, you see, oh, for this load, I need this infrastructure, this configuration, and stuff like that. Now, cloud gives you a lot of that. Let's say the cloud scale and all the benefits of cloud, you know that already. So now to jump that, and that's how we eventually keep, first do performance engineering in cloud, and that eventually leads to designing solutions. So I'm not a full-blown infrastructure architect or a full-blown, what do you say, native, but it's a mix of all. As I said, there's a lot of people work together, smart people. They help us deliver things.
So you have seen clients giving you the projects which are related to the development of the application before coming into the infrastructure side. Now you are seeing the clients' requirements, which is connected with the infrastructure. What is the difference that you are observing?
So okay, so the clients usually, the way it usually works is it what kind of a role and what kind of engagement you have, right? Let's say if you're from the job profile kind of a thing, you'll have a very well defined task to achieve. So you're developing an application. If you're in a different role, they'll say this is a project, this is at this phase, we want to put this on the cloud. So Now, to put it on the cloud, the first thing you need is, from the application perspective, the same choice of components won't be there. Let's say in previous world, uh, to make a big application, app servers was the first thing that comes into mind. App servers should be there. Now we have an app server, we have a caching server, we have a database server, the typical CRUD application. Right. Now, if it has to scale, we have to have multiple app servers. Now, with the cloud transitioning, the design is not same. The security is not the same. Uh, so when we go to the cloud, let's say we don't need an app server now. The app server was used. It needs very beefy configuration. Now, depends newer JBoss and Wildfly. They are having very lean, fast running, but still they need some instances running. But they give a lot of services. They give compute, distribution, messaging. They give a lot of services which are bundled as an app server. Now the cloud, what gives is it's like blows up that thing into each individual SaaS services. You have a separate for caching, you have a separate service for even the block storage, even the disk what you have, even that is a SaaS, meaning it's a network disk. It's not a physical disk on the machine. The instances are virtual. For everything, we have a separate service, and everything is scalable to internet scale. You have to do some design, of course, yeah. So now the first step would be to see what are the components you need to do to efficiently run. So which effectively you can run the whole application serverless without running any servers, and you can still do that and at either a negligible or a fraction of a cost which was otherwise. So that's the first transition anybody would see to design for that. And now for that to run, there has to be a landing zone, infrastructure has to be designed, security has to be weaved around that, processes and protocols, there's an audit trace and all these things, all that thing which comes for an enterprise standard, that has to be designed. So when you're going a bit higher, depending on the project, you might get to experience one of these angles of infrastructure. So yeah, so once you're on that architecture space, you keep touching different areas depending on the project. So yeah, so it's transition. It's not the same for all. Everybody may not be. Some might prefer very focused application design on AWS. They don't want to go infrastructure. Some might be open. They want to explore the infrastructure options because that might change the way they design applications. It's an individual choice, basically.
So, what is your experience as a cloud solution architect?
So yeah, I've done a variety of flavors actually. So my first was a private cloud. So we were doing some payment gateway solutions, and this payment gateway solution has to be hosted on a private cloud. Those days, especially banks were very particular about uh, not going public or the security aspects. So right, so that was the first thing, and then went to a microservices which was designed for cloud, doing a cloud native design for that, trying to scale based on cloud principles and all of these kind of things. So that was high volume kind of a use case. Then there was few other projects where identity access management. These were mostly, security and that based. So I worked for some banks. It was purely infrastructure. So we had to set up infrastructure for the bank. There was open API, open banking APIs to be published, right? So yeah, we take up challenge whatever it comes. It doesn't matter what it is, and that's how. So application volume-based application, some were data applications, some are security, and some is purely infrastructure. And then there is a mix of both. You have to do all of that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, have you worked on Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud?
Azure, yeah. Google Cloud, I have my own personal workloads there, not for the clients. For yeah, Azure and AWS for the clients, yeah, I worked on them.
So, what is the difference between Azure and AWS?
They are just different vendors giving the similar service, right? So there's no, so everything like for like you'll get in both. They'll just be having different names. They have their own stuff. Azure is a bit more, meaning what I found is you have to understand licensing a bit more in there. So in AWS, everything is pay as you go. So if you can pick up service, most of them are pay as you go. Uh, because Azure was not, so AWS was built for what they're doing now upfront. Now Azure had a lot of services which are in license model, not pay as you go model. Right. So there are a lot of license implication for a lot of things. You get 3 years, and there's a hooks for these kind of things. So you have to know those aspects. But it's more or less the same. They also have templates. It's the same. It's just different names. I found now AWS a bit more easy to catch up. Now that may be because I started with that first. Now, people who start Azure first, they think that's easy to catch up. I don't know. I can't be the judge of that, but yeah, it's maybe user specific. If people are Microsoft oriented, they understand all that lingo. It might be easy for them.
Is it important for people to be on development side in order to understand the infrastructure?
Okay, now one that's an interesting thing, right? So with the cloud, there is a new concept of infrastructure as code. Okay, up until then in data centers, people used to manage physical servers. There's physically plug cables. Okay, we need a bigger juice. We need a different the network capability. We changed the hardware and stuff like that. So there were a lot of physical things happening in the data centers, right? But now there is nobody has any access to the data centers. Everything what you can do on cloud is based on configuration and code. Now that discipline which developers have, how to manage the code, how to organize the code, how to componentize things in the process of development, because you develop jar, let's say if it's a Java development, you develop jar files, you develop portlets if it's a UI, and there's you developers are far more used to code organization than what I have seen the infrastructure guys traditionally are used to, because they are used to writing code. They're used to componentizing that in a much more reusable way. But for them, these new practices are not a new thing. They have been following SDLC. They have all the code practices. But the infrastructure guys were not that much used to that because they were physically doing those things which are now translated into code. So they have to manage the code, they have to manage configuration and make it reusable. And that's what I found. There was a slight, in my experience, not may not be everywhere, but how these infrastructure guys, the traditional infrastructure guys, jump onto doing like an SDLC, the infrastructure, setting up infrastructures like an SDLC, that's a bit challenging for them. So that's the only difference I found. But it helps developers, as I said. So they have been programming, they have been componentizing. It's not new. Those things are not new for them. Infrastructure parts are new, but the code management and those things are not new. So yeah, it definitely helps.
So solution architect needs more coding or just concentrate on how to design.
Okay, it needs. Okay, the thing is it. If you have been in development, and let's say if you have been into infrastructure, and if you have battle scars for projects you have done, you can be a good solution architect. If let's say just now, even if if you give exams for solution architecture or stuff like that, if you see all the questions around that, would basically try to see have you worked on that solution actually, right? So you can't mug up there and go there and design something, or you design something when it comes down to low level design, you see that it's not feasible, it's very expensive, and you have to go back and there's multiple iteration of that. So if you have already done stuff, you know before taking decision upfront that's not going to work. So it is definitely a hands-on thing. Now, depending on different companies have different take on how what kind of a role these guys play. Some places they need to be very hands-on. Some places they have a solution architects and software architects separate. So they do the design, the software architect do the lower level design. But the most effective you can be if you are hands-on on everything. The more variety of experience you have, the more hands-on you have, that's the more effective you can be. That's how I learned basically.
So in your experience as an infrastructure guy, have you seen anything that is very tough for you?
There are a lot of concepts which we take for granted. We need to know the internals of that now. when we jump to infrastructure. And other thing is there are two separate lines. Now, AWS, let's say, or any certification gives a very finite path to every whatever you want to take. Now, if you want to be an infrastructure architect, you go for a separate certification, or if you want to be a solution architect, definitely you need to know a lot about infrastructure, a lot about networking, how things are going. You need to know a lot about security because you're designing the whole stuff. You have to be accountable for everything. Uh, so yeah, so you do need that. But if somebody wants just to be an application designer or an application architect, he has a different path, a certification path to choose from. So hands-on is definitely a key thing here.
So, personally, you like development or infrastructure?
Um, Now the thing is, habitually, because as I said, it's 20 years now, I'm old doing this kind of stuff. At some point of time, we get an urge to write the things at the time when we are explaining a new concept, a new solution, and people are listening to that. At times, they find that, okay, if I write this, this would have been faster, than explaining, because we've been used to doing that, and explaining takes longer than implementation at times. So yeah, you feel the urge of developing, but in this you develop cloud formation scripts. You have to develop POCs. Let's say if you're coming with something which is new, the enterprise has not done before, to make a reference implementation, you have to develop that. You have to write the code for a sample application, how all the various scenarios will be handled. You have to write a POC which can be later used as a reference project by the enterprise. So yeah, there is a development aspect. It's not that active, but yeah, we definitely feel urged to write code.
So what are the points that a beginner should keep in mind before entering into the cloud?
I think the key thing is focus on the problem or the challenge what you're trying to solve, right? And then once you know, okay, let's say you have to develop a web application, right? What are the ways? So now the cloud has, the good thing now in internet is everything is so well documented. Back in the previous times, everything was paid, even good documentation. If you have to buy, you have to pay for that. Now there's nothing of that. All the design practices, best practices are all documented. Now, once you know the problem and the very specific context, then you need to basically apply that. And the other key thing is you need to understand what that component, what are solution tools you're picking up. Let's say you're picking up Beanstalk, or should you pick up Fargate? Should you pick up Lambda? Or which messaging service should you pick up? There are a lot many services which might seem to have overlapping features, but you need to know as learning a part, you need to know what specific use case that particular data store is built for. Because there are so many overlaps. Technically, it will work, but sometimes it might be expensive. Sometimes it might have operational overheads. Sometimes it might be a good serverless design. Right? You have to understand what that specific service is designed for, and that is the key to going in cloud. Otherwise, what usually people when they initial transition, they tend to keep that same lift and shift model. They put the same app servers there because that's what they know. Going outside the comfort zone is usually not, a lot of people do that, but yeah, you have to learn that. That's a learning curve you have to go through. But it's a natural thing. Once you do one project, you're comfortable, you take another problem, you solve that, and that's how you know what you choose. You basically should be open to criticism. And then if you say I'm using SQS, somebody will say no, don't use that, use something else. So you should let somebody else challenge you as well. So that's the process where you learn the security. They'll hammer you like crazy. How do you secure if you're using some service and so that. So yeah, so that's the thing. You have to learn the components purpose outside knowing the requirements.
So what is your observation of the people who came from different backgrounds and entering into the cloud? I know people from different countries. They are like biochemistry. They did biochemistry in their graduation, and they did some other stuff which is not technical. And they are coming into the cloud, and they are talking about the cloud.
Actually, in cloud, this is not the thing is you might not have been a musician all of your life. you started YouTube videos, learning cloud, you can be a better architect than what I've been doing if I'm in my position but not upgrading myself. So it doesn't matter where you come from, what you know. Is that what what you have learned by yourself? Doesn't matter what's the source. It doesn't. So a lot of people, I've read in some articles, a lot of people from Google or who are doing a very key technical positions were not technical by education. They were teachers. Somebody was doing something else. It's just your. Now that's the good thing. If we don't judge by what he has been doing in the past or what he's educated in, that's none of the thing. What when you sit on an interview, he will ask what you know now. How are you going to solve that problem? He'll give some mock problems. Usually, they give some problems which they are currently facing or they are planning designing for. If you're able to answer that, you're in. Doesn't matter what you've been doing or what did you study. That's all not relevant.
So, is there any particular application on which you worked on and which made you feel it's very tough?
I think that first my tough as in the challenge in the steeper learning curve was to get into the networking and infrastructure side because which we used to take for granted because we develop application, we don't care where it comes from, all these kind of things. But now we have to design that as well. We need to know the internals of that, how the BGP works and how all these kind of things. How are we establishing connection between data centers? Yeah, that was a steep. It was a learning curve. It takes its time, right? And you have to, you say, keep learning slowly and consistently. That's how you reach there. If you want to go immediate jump start, it might be stressful.
So, how to start?
I think the certifications are the right way to let's say if anybody is learning, right? It depending they have different levels and that's a good thing. The very wise people have designed this test. So right from cloud practitioner, it takes you from very bottom up and you eventually evolve in your knowledge. And it's a very good guardrails to basically in the learning path. You know exactly what components are for. They test you that you understood that that component is designed for what particular use case. So I think certification is a good path. And then there are so plenty of reinvent videos. They're all free on internet, YouTube posted. You can keep watching them because there are other people tell big enterprises they will tell how they solve the problem, which is also a key. If somebody has already solved it, you don't need to wreck your brains for that. You just take their idea, implement that.
So, at last, do you have anything to say to the people who are watching this video from anywhere on this planet?
No, I think I'm just a part of that learning group, so I don't not qualified to give any advice yet. So yeah, I'm just sharing the experience. That's what I've been doing.
So, what worked for you?
As I said, just go with just take up challenges. That's it. I mean, you don't have that thing. Oh, I've not done this. Is not my line. If you do that, you won't cross the bridge. You have to jump. You take a leap of faith. Take new challenges and keep learning slowly. Don't and yeah, be open to criticism. That's the thing as well.
So, at last, have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
I've seen some, yeah, when I got that initial request, I have seen that. I'm just trying to understand what this talk is about.
So,
I'll
actually,
watch more, definitely.
yeah, I take interviews of different country people from different professions who are into different professions, and
Hmm.
try to show what they experienced in their life, like nutritionist, police officer, army officer, doctor. So like
Right.
350 plus interviews I did in last 6 months. Now I
Wow.
started a new channel where I'm taking. I entered into the cloud. I did software engineering in masters. In masters, I did software engineering, and I decided to
Hmm.
come into the cloud and getting trained as a solution architect. At the same time, I'm doing this interviews
That's a
for
very,
different professions.
it's a nice concept actually. I like the concept. I mean, that was new to me, and that's actually, that what you're trying to find out when you reach there, what are the hurdles you faced, what was their approach. That is, even if it's nothing technical, that itself helps a lot to put people in the right path of thinking. Because yeah, he's stepped on that. He's burnt his fingers there. I'll not go that side.
Yeah.
That's a good concept actually. Yeah.
So, what advice you give to me?
I think you're going on a right path already. You're done. So apply, go for certifications. That will give you a good guide towards learning. And the more actual experience you have on the job, that you do hands on everything what you learn. Don't just be on the theory side because most of the exam because it's so theoretical, you have to go and do the same thing yourself. That will give you an edge.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me a valuable time and
Cool. Yeah.
spending a
Thanks for calling.
valuable words here.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Can I put
excited.
this video and can
Yeah,
I
yeah,
put
yeah.
this video and audio clip on my YouTube channel, social media, internet, podcast, everywhere with your permission?
Yeah, yeah, sure. You can do that.
Yeah. Do you have anything to say at last?
No, no, no. That's all. As I said, I'm just sharing experience. I'm not yet qualified to give advice or something. We are on the same path. You are learning cloud. I'm also learning cloud. We are both doing the same thing.
Okay, sir. Keep going. Keep doing what you love.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers.